Heya, heya, see below. Heya, heya, storm wind blow.
Chapter 13. Vadruk the Crownback. The eye below the lead ship opened wider. Tavaro forgot pain. Fear could do that when it arrived honestly. Rib, wing, wrist, blood, shame, all of them stepped aside for the larger weather moving under the fleet. The thing beneath the water did not rush. That was the first insult. Moorspawn usually spent hunger. As soon as they had it, they struck, tore, swallowed, dragged. Appetite had little patience, unless something old and cruel had taught it manners. Vadruk had manners. The pale eye rolled in the black-green water and found Tavaro. Of course it did. Tavaro beat his wings once, twice, climbing into glare as the cold body fought him. The right wing stung where the torn wrist seam hid beneath feather. The hawkmark wanted height. His blood wanted ground. The sea below wanted everything. Vadruk's eye narrowed. "Hello, little island maker." Tavaro hated clever eyes, especially in things with shells. Below, Senara had gone still near the mast. She looked down through the boards, as if the ship itself had developed a pulse and begun lying about it. The rootstaff burned through its plain wrapping at her back. Lapo stood beside the medicine chest with one hand on the rail, and the other curled around his ruined slate. Riva had 3 children tied by waist rope near the food bundles, and was knotting a 4th line around a boy who kept trying to look over the side. Maru stood at the stern with her blood-dark head wrap and one hand on the steering rail. She was already shouting, "Good captain." Too late. A claw broke the surface behind the 3rd deep hull. No splash at first, just black water parting around a ridge of shell. Then the claw opened. It was not shaped like a crab's pincer, no matter what frightened sailors would later decide to sing. Vadruk's limbs were older than that. 2 great hooked plates curved from a jointed arm, each edge layered with bone and fused metal, each ridge crowded with trophies, anchor teeth, spearheads, broken shrine bells, a crown ring flattened into a cutting edge, teeth from beasts that had died biting him. The claw rose higher than the mast. A child saw it. The scream came too late. The claw dropped across an outrider. Wood split like fruit skin. People vanished in spray and splinters. The sea took their voices and gave foam back. Tavaro folded his wings and dove. A second claw rose near the lead hull. Senara looked up then, not at him. At death? Tavaro drove downward with every feather flat to his body. Wind tore over him. The sea leapt closer. The great claw began to close around the lead ship's bow, 1 plate to either side, slow enough for terror to watch. He called the whale mark. He should not have. In air, in hawk body, with broken ribs and a torn seam, it was stupid enough to qualify as a plan. Mass struck him. Wings collapsed into weight. Feathers vanished under thick hide and huge bone. His body swelled in the fall, wrong and fast. Every injury came with him and multiplied its complaint. The world became too small around a creature made for deep water. Then he hit the claw. The impact broke the morning. Vadruk's upper plate slammed sideways before it closed. Tavaro struck shell and metal hard enough to crack fused bone. His whale body bounced, rolled, and crashed into the sea beside the lead hull. Water exploded over the deck. Sailors went down. Lapo slid across boards until Riva caught the back of his belt and hauled him short of the broken rail. Senara dropped to one knee, but kept one hand on the medicine chest. Maru kept the steering rail. The claw missed the bow by a hand width. It still took carved rail, 2 water jars, a coil of sail rope, and one ancestor peg someone had wedged into a mast brace. The ancestor vanished into the sea, looking surprised. Tavaro sank. Weight pulled him through green water. He released the whale mark before depth could take him. Human shape snapped back, smaller, bleeding, furious. The sudden loss of bulk tore pain through his side. Salt filled his mouth. He came up under Vadruk's shadow. The Crownback rose. Not all of him. Never all at once. Vadruk liked being understood in pieces. First, the claws, then the armored arms, jointed in thick segments, each segment studded with trophies, a shield from a drowned Sulari chief, a black stone charm from a priest Tavaro had failed to save, a line of huge teeth lashed into shell with sinew that had grown over the knots. Then the back, the crownback. It broke the surface behind the fleet, a moving fortress of shell and stolen victory. The shell rose higher than a temple roof, curved and ridged, layered with centuries of conquest. Crowns were fixed there, not polished, not displayed as jewels, but swallowed into him. Gold rings, bone circlets, rusted iron bands from inland kings, fragments of divine metal, charms, anchors, blades, bits of old ships. A plate Tavaro had torn from him last season had regrown wrong, leaving a white scar across one hump. At the top of that scar sat an empty eye socket. Vadruk's remaining eye turned toward Tavaro. The Moorspawn's mouth opened beneath the shell ridge. A slit first, then a gate, then a red-black cavern lined with plates that shifted over one another like grinding stones. "Little wake," Vadruk said. The voice came through water and air together. It shook hulls. It entered teeth. It made children cry before they knew why. People on the ships froze. Tavaro surfaced near a broken spar and spat seawater. "Crownback." Vadruk's eye closed halfway. "You are smaller than memory. Memory lies for applause." His voice sounded rough enough to belong to someone else. The lead ship drifted behind him, stunned but afloat. The destroyed outrider was already debris. People thrashed in the water. Other boats turned badly, some toward the survivors, some away from Vadruk, some toward both, which was how sailors invented new funerals. Tavaro looked past Vadruk's claw. A boy clung to a plank. A woman with blood running down one side of her face held another child's head above water. Two sailors kicked toward them with rope. Vadruk saw him see them. The Moorspawn's mouth widened. "Oh," Vadruk rumbled, "you brought soft things." They brought themselves. Soft things do that. Drift, breed, sing, break. Vadruk lifted one claw. Water poured from it in sheets. A long iron spear, fused into the lower plate, glittered in the sun. Near it, an old crown chimed against a broken anchor ring. The claw struck toward the swimmers. Tavaro drew the skybone line. The pain nearly unmade him. The seam at his wrist had been torn open in the root house. Senara's stitches were gone. The sheath around the line was raw. When he hooked his fingers into the split and pulled, the line did not slide free. It ripped. Blood flared into the water. The pale cord snapped out through his palm, alive and furious. The anchor followed, curved skybone slick with red. Tavaro bit down on the sound in his throat and hurled it. The anchor struck Vadruk's claw below the fused spear. The line wrapped twice around a jagged shell ridge. Tavaro planted both feet against the floating spar and pulled. The claw slowed, not stopped, slowed. His shoulder wrenched. His ribs tore against binding. The spar rolled under him and nearly dumped him. He kicked, found balance, and pulled harder. The line cut through his palm where he gripped it. Vadruk's claw trembled over the swimmers. The two sailors reached the woman. The boy kicked toward a rope. "Move," Tavaro snarled. They moved. Vadruk laughed. The sound made the water shudder. "You still use your flesh as rope." Tavaro said nothing. The claw twisted. The line scraped across shell. Tavaro was dragged from the spar and slammed into the sea. He held on. The pull drove him under, then up, then sideways. Vadruk swept the claw across the water, trying to shake him loose. Tavaro skipped once over the surface like a thrown stone, hit a wave, went under again, and still held. Pain had become too large for language. The standing medicine flared in response. Thin now, ugly, stubborn. It did not remove pain. It made pain seem like someone else's concern. Senara would hate this. Then Vadruk flung him toward the lead ship. Tavaro hit the side hard enough to crack planking. He clung to the skybone line with one hand, and the ship's side with the other. His breath left him. Above, faces leaned over the rail. Lapo for one heartbeat. They stared at each other. Lapo's face had no room for old love, shock, grief, fury, terror for the people behind him. "Tavaro," he said. It sounded like a warning to both of them. "Rope." Tavaro wheezed. Lapo did not move. A claw shadow crossed the deck. "Rope?" Lapo came alive. He turned. "Line here." Waist brace on the rail. 2 hands. Not one. Sailors moved, because Lapo had named the task before their fear chose another one. A coil dropped. Tavaro caught it with his teeth, because his hands were busy making terrible choices. Senara appeared at the rail. Her face went white when she saw his wrist. Then the whiteness hardened. "You drew the line." Tavaro spat rope into his left hand. "Death had opinions. You promised." He looked past her to Vadruk. The next claw lifted. Senara followed his gaze. Her anger did not leave. It found a larger patient. "What is it?" "Vadruk the Crownback. He speaks when admired. He hunts ships, victories." Vadruk's voice rolled across the water. "Vile woman. You hold green wood and command frightened meat. How proud." Senara did not flinch. Riva moved behind her, shoving a child flat to the deck and tying the child's waistline to a mast ring. "Do not stare at the monster," Riva snapped. "Hold your brother's rope." The child obeyed, sobbing. Maru's horn cut through the deck. 1 blast, 2, then a hard rhythm of command. "Spread wide. Lead wake holds. 2nd hull out. 3rd aft. Pull on count." Her crew answered. The ships began to move. Vadruk's eye fixed on Senara's wrapped staff. The whole more spawn stilled. Their hunger changed shape. Tavaro saw it with a hunter's clarity. Vadruk had not come only for ships. The Crownback collected power, relics, victories, things that made him more than appetite. The root staff had called him from below, or tempted him, or both. "Senara," Tavaro said. "I know." "No. He wants the staff. Everything wants the staff. Some things have claws the size of houses." Vadruk moved. His Crownback shell drove between the 2nd and 3rd deep hulls. The water he displaced shoved both ships apart. The 3rd hull tilted dangerously. People screamed. A child fell against the rail and would have gone over if Riva had not already tied his waistline too short. The rope caught. The child slammed against the rail post and screamed harder. Riva hauled him back by the line and checked his mouth with 2 fingers. "Teeth whole," she said. "Good." Scream later. The 2nd deep hull lost a mast line. The sail snapped loose. Wind caught it. The ship turned broadside to the swell. "Bad." "Maru!" Senara shouted. "I see it." Maru was already moving, knife between her teeth, climbing the rail toward the rope bridge with the confidence of a woman too old to wait for permission. Her head wrap bled through at the temple. She ignored it and pointed 3 sailors after her. "On my count." Not before. The first sailor reached too early. Maru's hand cracked across his wrist. "Count." He waited. Vadruk's smaller limbs surfaced around the 3rd hull. Not claws, hooked walking limbs, each ending in a spike or jointed plate. 3 of them rose and arched over the ship. Tavaro could not stop all 3. He pulled the skybone anchor free from the main claw and flung it toward the nearest limb. The anchor bit. He pulled. The limb veered and crashed into the sea instead of the deck. 2 remained. Lapo's voice rang from the 3rd hull. He had crossed. Where? Tavaro saw him on the forward deck, a coil of rope around his waist and a spear in one hand. He was pointing toward the base of the limbs, shouting over the water. "Wait aft. Not all at once. Jars inward. Children down. Do not chase the rail." The first limb fell. The ship tilted. People slid. Barrels rolled. 1 water jar smashed. The rail broke under the strike, but the deck held, barely. The 2nd limb adjusted toward the center. Vadruk was learning. Of course he was. Tavaro let go of the lead hull. He dropped into the water and called the shark mark. The change cut through him cold. Arms narrowed, legs fused, Skin slicked into grey muscle, teeth crowded his mouth. His human pain translated into blood sense and speed. The torn wrist became heat along his right fin. The broken ribs became pressure behind a body made for killing and too injured to enjoy it properly. He shot beneath the surface. The sea became scent, motion, blood, pulse. People thrashed above, bright with fear. Vadruk's body filled the water ahead, a wall of shell, meat, old metal, and old blood. Tavaro drove toward the base of the second limb. Soft hinge, thick tendon, deep nerve. He bit. Vadruk roared. The sound punched through the water. Tavaro's teeth sank deeper. He shook his shark body side to side, tearing. The limb spasmed, pulled back, and missed the third hull by a full mast length. Then Vadruk's lower shell split. A secondary mouth opened beneath Tavaro, lined with hooked plates. New. Vadruk had installed more mouth. Tavaro released the limb and twisted away. The secondary mouth closed on his tail instead of his belly. Teeth scraped through shark flesh, then into the old venom deadness carried from human thigh. Pain, numbness, pain again. He slammed back into human shape before the mouth could grip properly. Human size slipped through the closing plates. Human fragility objected. Tavaro came free in a wash of blood and bubbles. The skybone line still coiled through his right arm. He kicked upward. Vadruk's secondary mouth snapped behind him, close enough to clip his heel. He surfaced between two outriders. A sailor shrieked and tried to hit him with an oar. Tavaro caught the oar later. The sailor stared. Row left. What? Left? The sailor rowed left. Others followed, because panic sometimes looked like obedience if someone bleeding enough shouted first. Vadruk turned under the fleet. Tavaro felt it before he saw it. The current shifted. The Crownback was not striking one ship now. He was moving the water beneath all of them, forcing the fleet inward. If the hulls collided, their own weight would finish what his claws began. Spread! Tavaro roared. Human voice now. Not loud enough. He cast the anchor high. It flew over the water, over a guide boat, across the gap between ships, and struck the mast of the second deep hull. The crew shouted. Tavaro pulled himself toward it. Skimming behind the line, he hit the hull, climbed two handholds, and hauled himself onto the deck like something the sea had rejected. People backed away. He stopped moving. There it was, Oren's blood, still in the room even on open sea. Tavaro kept his hands open. Blood ran from the right. 3 breaths south, he said to the helmsman. The man stared. 3 breaths, or your hull hits the lead. No one moved. Senara's voice cut across from the other ship. Do as he says. The helmsman moved. Not forgiveness. You. Tavaro did not look at her. Looking would cost more than he had. He turned to a woman holding a broken sail line. Lower ring. Not the cracked one. She swallowed. The lower? Yes. Her hands shook. Reva's voice came from the lead hull behind him, carrying through wind. Hands first. Fear after. Tie. The woman tied. The second ship angled out. Vadruk rose between them. His Crownback shell crashed against the second hull. Not enough to split it, enough to throw half the deck sideways. Tavaro slammed into a post. The rib broke further, or only made a persuasive claim. He slid down and saw a child rolling toward the shattered rail. No time. He threw the skybone line. The anchor caught a deck plank beyond the child. The line crossed her path. She hit it, bounced, and a man grabbed her by the back of her tunic. The man looked at Tavaro. The thanks died when memory returned. Fair. Vadruk's claw came over the rail. Tavaro jumped onto it. The shell under his feet was slick, pitted, alive with small parasite things that recoiled from his blood. He drove the skybone anchor between 2 ridges and ran up the claw as it lifted. People below shouted. Some sounded frightened for him, inconvenient. Vadruk raised the claw high and shook it. Tavaro clung to the line, body swinging over open water. His ribs tried to crawl out of him. The standing medicine snapped under the strain. Not gone, but no longer king. Pain returned with an army. Vadruk! Tavaro shouted. The eye rolled toward him. The Crownback opened his mouth. Little Wake, you kept a piece of me. Vadruk's eye brightened. Tavaro had not meant to say it aloud. The claw whipped toward Vadruk's own back. Tavaro saw the plan too late. The Crownback slammed the claw against his shell, trying to crush Tavaro between them. Tavaro released the line and called the beetle mark. Smallness snapped through him. The claw struck shell with a thundercrack. Tavaro, a beetle no bigger than a shell bead, tumbled between ridges as the world became black armor, jagged metal, and green sea spray. He landed beside a rusted crown, fused into Vadruk's back. The crown's points were each longer than his beetle body. Vadruk scraped the claw across his back, trying to dislodge him. Tavaro ran. Beetle legs found cracks in shell. He darted over a broken anchor, under the bent rim of a golden circlet, around a tooth from some enormous dead thing. Vadruk's back smelled of salt, rot, metal, old power, and pride. A glint caught his beetle eye. Pale bone. For one heartbeat, he thought it was his own anchor, somehow torn free. No, a shard, old skybone. It was no larger than a knife tip, wedged between a crown plate and a black iron nail near the scar Tavaro had left in Vadruk's shell last season. He knew the color. He knew the texture. His since the day the three near ones tore a rib from the sky to rescue a boy from the ocean, kin to the anchor in his arm, a splinter from the day he had wounded Vadruk and nearly lost the line. Vadruk had kept it. No, Vadruk had grown shell around it. The shard pulsed faintly as Tavaro approached, answering the skybone line inside him. Vadruk's voice rolled through his own body. Found my little trophy. Tavaro froze. The shell beneath him trembled with Vadruk's pleasure. One day, Vadruk rumbled, I will wear the rest. The words went through Tavaro as cold certainty. The Crownback did not only collect victory, he studied it. Tavaro released the beetle mark. Bad idea. Human body expanded on Vadruk's back. Worse idea. He landed on one knee among crowns and bone, teeth bared against pain. Vadruk bucked at once, shell shifting, trophies cutting at Tavaro's legs and palms. Tavaro grabbed the skybone shard with his bleeding right hand. It burned. The skybone line screamed inside his arm. The shard resisted Vadruk's shell, and Tavaro's grip caught between two claims. Tavaro braced his feet against a crown ridge and pulled. The shard tore free. Vadruk roared. The sound threw sailors to their knees across three ships. Tavaro nearly lost the shard. He clenched it in his fist and felt his own line reach for it. Too much. If he let the line take it now, on Vadruk's back, with his wrist seam open, the surge might rip his arm apart. Senara's voice came from memory, sharp as a needle. It may tear through the arm. Tavaro laughed once, without sound. Vadruk's smaller limbs swept over his back. Tavaro ran. Human feet on Vadruk's shell were a poor design. He slipped on slime, cut his foot on a crown edge, caught himself on a broken spear, and kept moving. A hooked limb struck behind him, shattering two old crowns and a line of bone charms. Another came from the side. He called Hawk. The hawk mark answered, weak and angry. Wings burst from him, uneven and ragged. He leapt as the limb swept under him. Air caught him for half a breath, failed, caught again. He cleared Vadruk's shell by less than a spear length. The Crownback twisted below, one claw rising after him. Tavaro climbed badly. The shard burned in his right talon. Blood trailed from that claw as he beat higher. Vadruk's claw snapped shut under him. The wind of it flung him sideways. He tumbled. Sky and sea traded places. Fleet, shell, sun, water. His wing would not correct. His right side burned. The shard sang too loud. A mast rushed toward him. He struck sailcloth, slid down, and crashed onto the lead ship's deck in hawk form, talons gouging wood. The impact knocked the shape out of him. Human again, naked to pain, he rolled, hit the mast, and stopped at Senara's feet. The deck fell silent, except for screams from the water and Vadruk's laughter. Tavaro stared up at Senara. She stared down at him. His mouth opened. Blood came out. Senara crouched at once, not forgiving. Healer, do not move. Do not finish that sentence. He did not. She grabbed his right wrist and swore so sharply a nearby child stopped crying. What is in your hand? Bad idea. She pried his fingers open. The skybone shard lay in his palm, pale and red. The root staff at her back flared through the cloth. Senara's eyes narrowed. Yours? What? Vadruk had it? Yes. Vadruk's claw struck an outrider. The boat flipped. The deck under them shook with the wave. Senara snatched the shard from Tavaro's hand and wrapped it in a strip from her own sleeve. Before the root staff could flare again, she shoved it against his chest. Hold it away from the staff. Riva reached them. Before Tavaro could answer, she had a rope coil over one shoulder and a child under one arm. She dropped the child beside the mast, checked Tavaro's face once, then looked at Senara. Is he useful? Tavaro closed his eyes. Senara pressed 2 fingers beneath his jaw, counting dangerously. Then use him dangerously, and keep him away from the children. Riva turned and began tying a line from the mast to the food bundles, making a low barrier with rope, crates, and her own body. Children behind me. Hands on the rope. No hero watching, a little girl said, but behind me. The girl when Vadruk's voice rolled over them. Vile woman, give me the green root, and I may leave some children uncracked. Senara rose. Tavaro grabbed at her ankle before thought reached him. The whole deck saw. Her gaze dropped to his hand. He released her. I am sorry. The words were not about the ankle. Both of them knew. Her face closed. No time. She turned toward Vadruk and drew the root staff from its wrapping. Green light spilled across the deck. Every far-bound turned toward it. Tavaro felt the staff wake. Not soft certainty now. This was fear, grief, command, survival, all of it, hitting the wood through Senara's hand. The staff loved crisis. Senara understood that. He saw it in the way her scarred thumb shifted on the grain, in the way she held the staff away from her ribs, as if refusing its comfort, direct access to her breath. Senara, he said. No, I have not asked. You were about to. Yes, I am going to use it. The root staff's green light moved down her arm. Tavaro pushed himself to his knees. Pain rioted. He ignored it badly. Vadruk wants it. Then he can remain hungry. She lifted the staff. Green light spread across the lead ship, then across the water. Not far enough to strike Vadruk, far enough to touch the people drowning in the broken wake. A boy stopped thrashing and grabbed a floating plank. A woman who had been screaming at nothing turned toward a rope. 2 sailors on an overturned boat found the same rhythm and kicked together. The staff did not heal. It organized panic. Senara's face went grey. Cost. Tavaro saw it. Riva saw it too. She crossed behind Senara and set one hand between Senara's shoulder blades. Not tender, a brace. Breathe, Riva said. Do not let wood do that part. Senara drew one breath, then another. Maru understood the green-lit calm first. Ropes out, she shouted. Pull on count. Haul, hold, haul. The lead crew answered. Haul, hold, haul. Other ships heard the rhythm and took it up in ragged pieces. The sea became work again. Vadruk did not like that. His massive claw came down toward the lead ship. Tavaro stood. He did not know how. Perhaps the standing medicine had one last ugly gift. Perhaps shame could hold bones in place. Perhaps the child mark, tired of commentary, had decided to shove. He wrapped the skybone shard in the torn cloth and shoved it into the waist of his tunic. Then he took the second dose packet from the same place. Senara saw. Tavaro? He tore it open with his teeth. No, he swallowed the powder dry. It hit his tongue like burnt pepper and old storm. He gagged, forced it down. For one breath, nothing happened. Then heat tore through him. Pain did not leave. Pain became fuel. Senara's face changed. Not surprised. Accounting. You chose that. Yes. The skybone line lay across the deck, still partly drawn from his wrist, slack and blood slick. Tavaro grabbed it. No skybone near the staff. The staff was near him. Geography had become unhelpful. He cast the anchor at Vadruk's descending claw. It struck the upper plate and wrapped around a ridge of fused crowns. Tavaro braced both feet on the deck. The lead ship groaned under him. "Maru!" he shouted. "Turn with my pull." Maru looked at him, saw the claw's angle, and lifted her horn. Hard starboard, on 3, 1, 2, 3. The helm shifted. Sailors hauled. Senara's green light held them steady just long enough to keep panic from breaking the count. Vadruk's claw fell. Tavaro pulled sideways, not stopping it, redirecting. The claw smashed into the water beside the ship instead of through it. The wave lifted the lead hull so hard half the deck rose under Tavaro's feet. He lost footing, slammed to one knee, and kept the line in both hands. The ship slid away from the impact, turning with Maru's helm and his pull. The maneuver shoved the lead hull clear of Vadruk's central mouth. A smaller guide boat behind it was not clear. The Crownback's secondary mouth opened beneath it. Senara saw. No one could reach it. The boat dropped, as if the sea had opened a door. For 1 second, the whole hull hung tilted over red-black dark. People clung to rails. A mother held 2 children against her body. A sailor struck Vadruk's shell with an oar and achieved nothing except dignity. Then the mouth closed. Boat, people, sail, sound, gone. Tavaro's grip went slack. No, the word did nothing. The skybone line trembled in his hands. He had saved 1 ship, lost another, saved swimmers, lost an outrider, redirected a claw, watched a guide boat vanish. Protection was not whole. It never had been. The truth entered like sickness. Vadruk's mouth opened above the water, showing scraps of fresh wood caught between plates. "So easy," he said. A sound rose from the lead deck. Not one voice. Many. Grief trying to become violence. Riva stepped in front of the children before anyone moved. No one leaves rope. A man with a spear staggered toward the rail. Senara turned on him. "Your place is the pump. They took my pump, or drowned beside him." He went to the pump. Tavaro pulled the line back. The anchor tore free and snapped into his hand. He looked at Vadruk. The medicine burned his blood, clean and cruel. The child mark burned under it, warning, pleading, present. He wanted to kill Vadruk, not drive him away. Kill. He wanted to break the crownback open and tear every crown from his shell. He wanted the sea, red enough to remember. That anger felt clean. Senara's voice cut through memory. "If the medicine makes your anger feel clean, it is lying." Tavaro laughed. It came out broken. Vadruk tilted his head. "Mad, little wake?" Supervised. He released the skybone line. The anchor dropped to the deck. Senara stared. He turned to Maru. "Get the fleet east. Full sail if the wind holds. Do not bunch. Foam over calm if shadow rises." Maru's jaw tightened. "You are not captain here." "No." "Good." She lifted the horn. "Fleet east. Keep wake. Keep count." Tavaro looked at Senara. She had the root staff in both hands now. Green light still reaching across the water. Her face had hollowed with effort. Lapo stood behind her, one hand at her back, not touching the staff, supporting her body. Riva stood between them, and the children with rope burns, already dark across her palms. Oren's blood lived between all of them. Still they stood. Tavaro wanted to say 1,000 things. He chose the one with youth. "Hide the shard." Senara's gaze flicked to his waist. "From Vadruk, from everyone." Her eyes sharpened. "Good." Then Tavaro turned and ran across the deck. Every step should have failed. The medicine forced them not to. He reached the broken prow, leapt to the rail, and called the whale mark in the same breath as he jumped. He fell toward Vadruk as mass took him. Not full whale this time. Too slow, too broad. He shaped the call as much as the mark allowed, drawing weight without all its bulk, taking the dense force of deep water into a body still close enough to strike. It was not clean. Marks hated being bent. His spine screamed. His ribs became a molten cage. He hit Vadruk's central mouth shoulder first. The impact drove the Moorspawn's head back. Tavaro released Whale before Vadruk could bite and called Shark in the wash of spray. His body narrowed, slid across shell, plunged into the water at the joint where one claw met body. He bit deep, tore, released, called human, slammed the skybone anchor into the wound, and pulled the line around the joint. Every change cost. Every cost vanished into the medicine. Tomorrow would collect. Tomorrow might need to find the pieces first. Vadruk roared and twisted away from the fleet. Good. Tavaro wrapped the skybone line around his own waist, braced both feet against shell, and drove the anchor deeper into the joint. "Come on, then!" he shouted. "You wanted me." Vadruk's eye rolled toward the retreating ships. No, he yanked the line. The joint split wider. Dark blood burst around him. Vadruk shrieked. The sound punched the fleet, the water, the sky. Ships pitched. People covered ears. Tavaro's vision went white at the edges. Then Vadruk dove. The Crownback took him under. The sea closed overhead. Pressure swallowed sound. Tavaro held the line as Vadruk dragged him down along the curve of his shell. The light dimmed fast. The fleet above became broken shapes, then shadow, then memory. Vadruk's body moved beneath him with awful power, pulling him into colder water where the Mawdeep pressure gathered like a thought too old to die. Tavaro could let go. His lungs already burned. His ribs could not bear the pressure. His wrist seam streamed blood. The line around his waist cut into him. The anchor held in Vadruk's joint, and if the Moorspawn rolled, the line might cut Tavaro in half. He held. Vadruk's voice came through the water, lower now, intimate in the way predators became intimate when alone with prey. "You cannot keep them?" Tavaro dug his feet into shell. "You cannot keep the vile woman." The line tightened. "You cannot keep the boy." Tavaro's vision narrowed. "You cannot keep even your own hand from murder." Tavaro yanked the line with both arms. The joint tore. Vadruk's claw convulsed and folded uselessly against his side. The Crownback screamed and rolled. The line snapped around Tavaro's ribs. Bone broke. This time he felt it cleanly. The medicine could not move that aside. It went through him and took everything with it. He lost the line, lost the shell, lost the shape of his own body in the water. Vadruk's great form blurred past. A claw struck him. Not full force, only the backwash of it. He spun through dark. No air, no up, no body willing to answer. The child Mark burned, not warm, burned. Tavaro opened his eyes. Far above, the fleet moved east, alive. Fewer, broken, moving. Good. That was enough for the next breath. Problem, he had no next breath. Vadruk's eye appeared in the dark below him, one pale moon in black water. The mouth opened, not rushing, patient. The Crownback had learned his weight, his wounds, his timing. Tavaro tried to call hawk. Nothing. Shark. Nothing. Whale. Agony. Beetle. A joke underwater. The skybone line drifted loose from his wrist. He reached for it. His fingers closed around cord. Vadruk rose. Tavaro drew the line toward himself. The anchor came slowly, then fast. It had torn free during the roll. It snapped back through the water. A pale streak. Tavaro did not aim for Vadruk. He aimed up. He cast the anchor toward the light. The skybone line shot upward, found something, and caught. Ship? Rock? Drift? He did not know. He pulled. The line dragged him upward as Vadruk's mouth closed beneath his feet. The edge of the lower plate sliced his calf. Pain gave him direction. Up. Vadruk's teeth snapped shut where he had been. The line hauled Tavaro through dark water toward a floating spar from the destroyed outrider. Not a ship. Enough. He broke the surface and hit the spar chest first. Air did not enter him. He coughed water, blood, and a sound too ugly to be speech. His ribs had given up on dignity. His right wrist was open. His left calf bled into the water. His body shook under the end of Senara's medicine. Behind him, Vadruk surfaced. Not close, too far for immediate strike. The Crownback's wounded claw dragged uselessly on one side. Dark blood ran over his shell and into the sea. His one eye burned with hate. The fleet was farther east now, far enough that Vadruk had to choose. Tavaro clung to the spar. "Go on," he rasped. "I am right here." Vadruk's eye shifted toward the fleet, then back to Tavaro. The old Moorspawn's mouth open. "You protect poorly." Tavaro's face twisted. "Yes, Vadruk enjoyed that. You kill what loves you. You fail what fears you. You bleed for what leaves you." Tavaro had no joke ready. That seemed to please Vadruk more. "I will wear the rest of your line, little wake, piece by piece. And when the green wood falls into the sea, I will wear that too." The Crownback sank, not fled, withdrew. That was worse. The water closed over shell and crowns. His shadow moved beneath the surface, turning away from Tavaro, away from the fleet, down into the dark where old appetite could nurse injury into memory. Tavaro floated. The spar held him because Wood was kinder than he deserved. The fleet was far away now, small against a sky that had begun to bruise. Clouds gathered east. Fast, too fast. Storm dark rose beyond the route the Farbound had chosen, a wall of black-grey building over the horizon. Lightning shivered inside it without sound. The sea under the fleet had already begun to change, chop lifting, wind turning cold. Vadruk had driven them toward it, or the Mawdeep had, or the world had chosen another poor hour to become interesting. Tavaro tried to call Hawk. His body answered with a faint twitch and full refusal. The child mark warmed weakly. Tavaro looked at the fleet. He could not reach them. Not now. Not like this. The first thunder rolled across the water. Far east, on the lead ship, a green light flared. Senara. The light vanished behind rain. Tavaro clung to the spar as the storm swallowed the Farbound.
Claw from water,
crown from foam.
the old teeth know the way home. The pale eye opened under them, white as a moon below. Tavaro forgot his broken ribs when honest fear said go. The claw rose slow behind the hull with crowns and shell and bone. Vadruk wore the drowned world's pride and called the sea his throne. Soft things said the Crownback,
Drift and sing and break.
Tavaro spat the salt away and felt the skybone wake.
Claw over mast, blood over rail. One cry lost in spray. If death has found the room at last, the broken hand may pay.
Vadruk the Crownback, shell of crowns and stolen war.
One pale eye on the green root fire.
One claw at the door. Vadruk the Crownback, black mouse under foam,
Tavaro bleeds between his teeth
and keeps the fleet from home. He called a whale from open air and struck the rising claw.
The morning cracked beneath his weight.
The lit ship lived in awe. Then human blood in black-green sea, the
Skybone line tore free.
he wrapped it round the Crownback's limb and bought the swimmers 3.
Blackboard dropped the anchor.
And shouted rope instead.
Senara saw the torn wrist split and counted all he bled.
Vadruk the Crownback, shell of crowns and stolen war. One pale eye on the green wood fire,
One claw at the door.
Vadruk the Crownback,
Black mouth under foam.
Tavaro bleeds between his teeth
Then keeps the fleet from home. Staff burned green in Senara's hand. It loved the hour of need. It made the drowning find the rope. It made the panic heed.
Revel set her palm behind and said,
Breathe your own air.
do not let the wood do that.
Do not give it care.
Maru raised her blood-wrapped head.
Haul and hold, haul and hold.
The sea became a working room with
Death beneath the fold.
Vadruk wanted green root like the Wakings wanted gold.
He turned the ships against themselves and drank the current cold.
Tavaro took the shark mark down and bit the hinge below.
Then Beetle crossed the trophy shell where dead men's crowns had grown.
A pale shard burned in Crownback's back.
A piece of skybone kept.
Vadruk said, I'll wear the rest, and the old wound
Never slept. Vadruk the Crownback, shell of crowns and stolen war.
one pale eye on the green root file.
One claw at the door. Vadruk the Crownback, black mouth under fall.
Tavaro bleeds between his teeth
And keeps the fleet from home. He landed at Senara's feet
with skybone in his hand.
no pardon in her healer eyes.
No time to understand.
Vadruk took her guide boat home.
Wooden voices gone.
Protection was never home.
Just one more breath drawn long.
Rage came clean as killing light. The medicine made it bright. Senara's warning cut his blood clean. Anger is a lie. Vadruk the Crownback, shell of crowns and stolen war.
One pale eye on the green root file.
One claw at the door.
Vadruk the Crownback,
Black mouth under fall.
Tavaro bleeds between his teeth.
And keeps the fleet from home.
He dove with line around his waist.
And tore the Crownback's joint.
The monster dragged him down below.
Where no cry had a point.
You cannot keep the veil, woman.
You cannot keep the boy.
You kill what tries to love you.
You bleed for what destroys.
He pulled until the claw went dead.
Then bone broke in the deep.
Vadruk sank with one last vow.
And left him wood to keep. Far east the black storm gathered.
Green light flashed and rained.
Tavaro clung to broken spar.
Too far, too well again.